I remember the exact moment my marriage died. It wasn't with a bang or a scream. It was the soft whir of our washing machine on a Tuesday afternoon in Chicago, the smell of detergent mixing with the scent of my husband's cologne still clinging to his jeans. My name is Michelle, and at 38 years old, I thought I knew my life. High school English teacher, wife, mother to 2 beautiful kids, the woman who held everything together while my husband James climbed the corporate ladder at his downtown finance firm. But that Tuesday, everything shattered. I was doing laundry, that mind-numbing chore we all hate but can't escape. You know the routine. Sort colors, check pockets, toss it in. My hands moved on autopilot until my fingers brushed something in James's jeans. Paper. Crumpled like trash. Stuffed deep in the pocket like he wanted it hidden. I pulled it out, smoothing the wrinkles with trembling fingers. A hotel receipt. The Langham. That luxurious downtown hotel overlooking the Chicago River where we'd always talked about staying for a special occasion. Suite 410. King bed. Champagne upgrade. 2 nights. $850. Charged to our joint credit card. The date made my blood run cold. Last month, our anniversary weekend. The weekend, James told me he had a last-minute conference in Boston and kissed me goodbye while I stood in our kitchen, holding our daughter Aaliyah's hand, believing every word. My legs gave out. I sank to the laundry room floor, the washer still humming its cheerful cycle like nothing had changed, like my world wasn't collapsing. The receipt trembled in my hands. I read it again and again, hoping the words would rearrange themselves into something that made sense, something that didn't mean what I knew it meant, but they didn't. $850. While I was home with our kids, reheating leftovers and helping with homework, telling them Daddy was working hard for our family, while I was the strong black woman everyone expected me to be, holding down the fort, keeping it together, sacrificing my dreams so he could chase his. The tears came hot and fast, blurring the numbers on that receipt. 10 years of marriage, 2 children, countless sacrifices, late nights waiting up, dreams deferred. My father's insurance money, the only inheritance I had, used to keep us afloat when James got laid off. Money I never asked to be repaid because that's what you do for family. And this was my reward? I wanted to scream, to throw things, to burn his clothes in the driveway. But then something shifted inside me. The teacher in me, the woman my students called Ms. Strategy, because I could break down Shakespeare's most complex plots. That woman woke up. If you believe in justice, hit that subscribe button right now, because what they didn't know was about to change everything. They didn't know I wasn't just a devoted wife and mother. They didn't know I wasn't just going to cry and forgive. They didn't know that hotel receipt was about to become their worst nightmare. Because I wasn't just a teacher, I was Ms. Strategy. To understand how deep the knife cut, you need to know what we had, what I thought we had. James and I met at the University of Illinois 20 years ago. I was this ambitious girl from the South Side with big dreams of becoming a teacher who actually made a difference. He was a business major with charm that could light up a room. Tall, handsome, the kind of man who made you feel like you were the only person in the world when he looked at you. We met at a campus poetry slam of all places. I was reading Langston Hughes, and he was in the audience. Afterward, he walked straight up to me and said, "You made those words breathe. I need to know you." 6 months later, we were inseparable. 2 ambitious kids from the South Side, dreaming bigger than our zip codes told us we could. We married at 28 in a small ceremony at my mama's church. She cried through the whole thing, my mama who'd raised me alone after Daddy died when I was 12, who worked 2 jobs to keep me in books and ballet lessons. "He's a good one, baby," she whispered, adjusting my veil. "He sees you." Those early years glowed with possibility. I landed my teaching position at Roosevelt High, a tough South Side school where metal detectors guarded the doors and hope was in short supply. But I loved it. Loved my students, especially the ones everyone else had given up on. They started calling me Miss Strategy because of how I broke down complex literature, Shakespeare, Morrison, Baldwin, into patterns they could understand and apply to their own lives. Jamal came first when I was 30. Beautiful brown boy with James's smile and my stubborn streak. Then Aaliyah 2 years later, our princess with big eyes and bigger questions about everything. We bought our modest 3-bedroom in Hyde Park with a backyard just big enough for a swing set. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I handled the home front, PTA meetings, pediatrician appointments, school pickups, birthday parties with homemade cakes, because that's what you do when you love your family. James hustled his way up at Apex Finance, landing bigger accounts, bringing home promotions. I was proud of him. Proud of us. When his firm downsized 5 years in and he got laid off, I didn't hesitate. My daddy's life insurance, $50,000 I'd been saving for emergencies, or maybe one day going back for my master's, I pulled from it. Kept us afloat for 8 months while James networked and interviewed. "We'll pay it back," he promised, holding me close in our kitchen. "I swear, Michelle, we're a team." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Work was hard. Navigating microaggressions from colleagues who assumed I was the diversity hire, staying strong for students who dealt with violence and poverty I couldn't fix, being the articulate one in meetings while biting back rage. But home? Home was my sanctuary. James and the kids were my soft place to land, or so I thought. That perfect life. It was built on a foundation I didn't know was already cracking. Looking back, the signs were there for months. Maybe longer, I just didn't want to see them. It started small about 6 months before the receipt. James began staying late at the office, texting about crunch time on the Henderson account, or dinner meeting with clients. Normal enough. Finance has demanding seasons. But then came the cologne. Suddenly, he was wearing more of it, stronger. Like he was covering something up. The smell would hit me when he came home, thick and cloying. Then one night, folding his dress shirts, I smelled it. Perfume on his collar, not mine. I wore something warm and woody. This was floral, light. Lilies, maybe. Foreign. Wrong. "Babe, everything okay?" I asked that night as he scrolled his phone in bed. Casual, not accusatory. "You seem distant." He laughed, actually laughed, and pulled me close. "You're paranoid, Michelle. Work's stressing me out, that's all. I love you. You know that." I wanted to believe him. Needed to. Karen entered our lives 2 years ago as a new marketing executive at Apex. I met her at the company's summer picnic, blonde, petite, perky in that way. White women in corporate America get celebrated for, while black women get called aggressive for the same energy. She touched James's arm too much when they talked, laughed too loud at his jokes. "So nice to finally meet the wife," she'd said, all teeth and false warmth. My gut twisted even then. Women know. We always know. The late nights increased. Our sex life, once passionate, became routine, then rare, then nearly non-existent. James would come to bed and immediately face away from me, scrolling his phone with the screen tilted so I couldn't see. Once I caught a glimpse, a notification with a heart emoji. "K-work. Who's that?" I asked, trying to sound light. "Karen from work. Project stuff." He locked the screen faster than necessary. My insecurity crept in like poison. Was I not pretty enough anymore? The stretch marks from carrying his children, did they disgust him? My hair, natural now instead of relaxed? Did he prefer straight blonde instead? Society's beauty standards have a special cruelty for black women. We're strong and resilient. But are we desired? Are we chosen? The magazines, the movies, the messages, they all whisper we're not enough. I started looking at myself differently in the mirror, harsher, seeing flaws where there'd been confidence. But underneath the self-doubt, something else was growing. Suspicion, then certainty. The phone buzzing became constant, always K-work, always stepped away to answer. Our anniversary came, 10 years, and he had to work late. Brought home grocery store flowers as an afterthought. 2 weeks later, I found the receipt. That afternoon on the laundry room floor felt like drowning. The receipt sat in my shaking hands while questions hammered my skull. Who was there? What did they do? How could he? I forced myself up on unsteady legs, opened our credit card app with trembling fingers, already knowing but needing confirmation. There it was. The Langham, $850, the exact dates of our anniversary weekend. The weekend he'd kissed me goodbye at dawn, suitcase in hand, claiming his boss needed him in Boston for an urgent client presentation. The lie was right there in black and white. Digital, undeniable, paid for with our money. I was still staring at the screen when James's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. He was in the shower. I could hear the water running, hear him humming like he didn't have a care in the world, like he hadn't just destroyed everything. The notification lit up the screen. K-work. My hand moved before my brain caught up. I grabbed the phone. No passcode. He'd removed it months ago during an argument about trust. The irony burned. The message preview showed enough. Miss you already. Next time soon, Zolv. Next time. This wasn't new. This was ongoing. I needed to see. Needed to confirm what I already knew. I grabbed my keys and drove to the Langham, barely registering traffic lights or stop signs. My body moved on autopilot while my mind screamed. The hotel lobby gleamed with marble and crystal chandeliers, beautiful couples everywhere, checking in, laughing over champagne, holding hands, everything I thought I had, everything that was a lie. I approached the front desk, trying to appear calm. Hi, I'm checking on a reservation under James Thompson. The clerk, young and professional, smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't give out guest information due to privacy policies. Of course they couldn't. I stood there in that beautiful lobby surrounded by happy people and felt completely alone. The weight of it crushed down. 10 years of marriage, 2 children, countless sacrifices. For what? To be replaced by Karen from marketing in Suite 410? I drove home in a daze, made it to our bedroom before the ugly crying started. The kind of sobbing that comes from your gut, that shakes your whole body. I buried my face in my pillow so the kids wouldn't hear, so James in the shower wouldn't know. Was this because I'm black? Did he want the white woman, the safer choice for his corporate climb? Or was I just not enough? Period. The questions burned, but they had no answers. Only pain. That night, I played the part. Smiled when James emerged from the shower smelling of soap and betrayal. Made dinner. Helped Jamal with his math homework. Put Aaliyah to bed with her favorite story. The perfect wife and mother performing for an audience of one who didn't deserve the show. But after James fell asleep, I sat in our home office with his laptop. We'd always shared passwords. Transparency, he'd called it years ago. Jamal Aaliyah 2015. Our kids' names and the year we bought the house. His email opened like a door to hell. The messages went back 6 months. Karen's corporate email at first, professional talk about projects and meetings. Then her personal email. Then the content shifted. Photos, her in lingerie, him shirtless. Messages that made my stomach turn. But worse than the sex talk was the planning. Can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. Once you get the VP promotion, we can be together for real. James's response. Working on it. Michelle suspects nothing. She's too busy with the kids to notice. Another exchange, dated 3 weeks ago. Karen. What will you tell her? James. That I've outgrown her. That we want different things. She'll get the house and kids. She loves playing martyr anyway. You and I can start fresh. I read that word again. Martyr. Like my sacrifices were performance. Like keeping our family together while he chased his ambitions was some kind of manipulation instead of love. The rage that followed was pure and clarifying. They thought I was clueless. They thought I was too busy, too trusting, too devoted to see. They'd underestimated me completely, and that was going to be their biggest mistake. Because they didn't know about my daddy's insurance money, still mostly untouched in a separate account James had forgotten about. $50,000 meant for emergencies. This qualified. They didn't know that being Mrs. Strategy wasn't just about teaching Shakespeare. It was about understanding patterns, motivations, and how to systematically dismantle complex problems. They didn't know I'd grown up watching my mama navigate systems designed to break her and win anyway. I pulled out my phone and texted my best friend Angela, a nurse who'd survived her own messy divorce. "Emergency. Need you tomorrow. Bring wine." Then I texted Mr. Edwards next door, the retired cop who always gave Jamal basketball tips. "Got a legal question. Coffee this week?" I wasn't going to scream or confront. Not yet. No explosive confrontation that would give them a chance to spin the narrative, to make me the crazy wife. No, I was going to be patient, strategic. I was going to gather every piece of evidence, plan every move, and when the time was right, I was going to dismantle them so completely they'd never see it coming. The sage path, long game, educational suffering. James thought I suspected nothing? Perfect. Let them feel safe. Let them think they were smarter than me. If they only knew what was about to unfold. The next 3 weeks were the performance of my life. Every morning I woke up next to the man who'd betrayed me and smiled. Every night I kissed him goodnight like nothing had changed. Oscar Worthy doesn't begin to cover it. "Coffee, babe?" I'd ask, handing him his favorite mug. "You're the best," he'd say, scrolling through his phone. Probably texting her. I made his favorite dinners, jerk chicken, mac and cheese, peach cobbler, laughed at his work stories, even initiated intimacy twice, as much as it killed me inside, because a suddenly frigid wife raises questions. I closed my eyes and thought about evidence, about justice, about the moment he'd realize what he'd lost. Angela came over that first Saturday while James took the kids to the park. She brought wine and wisdom. "You're really doing this?" she asked, sitting at my kitchen table. "I'm really doing this." She pulled out her phone. "Okay, first we need a tracker on his phone. There's an app. Find My Love, ironically. We can install it remotely if you have his Apple ID." I did. Within 10 minutes, I could see exactly where James was at all times. The kids at the park? Check. Later that week, when he claimed to be at the office until 9, he was at Karen's apartment in Lincoln Park until 10:47 p.m. The evidence mounted, but the kids noticed something. Children always do. One night, tucking Aaliyah into bed, she grabbed my hand with her small fingers. "Mommy sad?" Those big brown eyes, so innocent, searched my face. My heart cracked. I kissed her forehead, breathing in her little girl scent of strawberry shampoo. "Just tired, baby. Work stuff. But Mommy's okay. I promise." She nodded, trusting me completely. That trust, that's what James had gambled with. Not just me, but them. Our babies. I spent late nights in the home office researching Illinois divorce law. Adultery, asset division, custody arrangements. Mr. Edwards stopped by midweek with coffee and advice. "Michelle," he said. His retired cop voice, gentle but firm. "Evidence is everything. Emotions run high in divorce court, but judges care about facts. Document everything. Dates, times, receipts. Get it on record, and stay calm. Don't let him make you look unstable." "I won't," I promised. "And Michelle, whatever you're planning, stay legal. Revenge feels good in the moment, but prison doesn't." I smiled. "Don't worry. I'm not going to touch him. I'm going to make him face himself." The breakthrough came when I examined the original receipt more carefully. There was a confirmation number at the bottom. I called the Langham from a burner phone Angela helped me get. "Hi, I'm calling to confirm a reservation. Confirmation number LH478392. Keyboard clicks. "Yes, ma'am, Suite 410. 2 nights. Check-in is Friday the 18th. 2 weeks away. The same suite. They were going back. I hung up and stared at my phone. This was it. The opportunity. That afternoon, I drove to the Langham with cash, $800 from my secret account. Walked up to the front desk wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. "I need a room for Friday the 18th, 2 nights. Do you have anything in the 400 block?" The clerk checked. "We have Suite 412 right next to 410. King bed, city view." Perfect. Too perfect. "I'll take it. Cash payment, checking in under the name Sandra Williams." She barely blinked. Hotels in Chicago see everything. Small victory number 1. I had access, I had position, and they had no idea. Friday morning arrived cold and gray, Lake Michigan wind rattling our windows. James came down to breakfast wearing his good suit, rolling a small suitcase behind him. "Boston trip again?" I asked. "Pouring orange juice for the kids?" "Yeah, same client, more prep work." He kissed my cheek. The audacity. Should be back Sunday evening." "Drive safe," I said. Jamal looked up from his cereal. "Bye, Dad." "Bye, champ. Be good for Mom." I watched him leave, watched him text someone the moment he hit the driveway, her probably confirming plans. The tracker showed him heading downtown, but not toward O'Hare, toward the Langham. I waited an hour, got the kids to my mama's house. "Girls' weekend? Need some grandma time?" She was thrilled. Then I drove downtown, parked 3 blocks away, and entered the hotel through the side entrance wearing different clothes than this morning. Dark jeans, black jacket, hair in a bun, oversized sunglasses. Checking in, Sandra Williams, Suite 412. "Welcome back, Ms. Williams." The clerk didn't even look up. I rode the elevator to the 4th floor, pulse hammering, found room 412. The walls in these old buildings I'd researched were thin. Original construction, minimal soundproofing despite the luxury veneer. Inside, the room was beautiful. King bed with white linens, city view, marble bathroom. I barely noticed. I went straight to the shared wall with Suite 410 and pressed a drinking glass against it. Old detective trick Mr. Edwards had mentioned. Sound came through perfectly. I could hear the TV in their room, muffled but clear. I set up my phone to record, positioned it near the wall. Then I waited. 3 hours passed. I ordered room service, paced, checked the tracker. James was still downstairs, probably at the bar. Then around 6 p.m., voices in the hallway. "So glad we could get away." Karen's voice high and excited. "Me too." James. "No interruptions this time." A key card beep, door opening, then closing. I pressed my ear to the wall, phone recording, giggling. "This is risky, you know," Karen said. "What if—" Michelle's clueless. James's voice, casual, dismissive. "She's too busy with the kids to notice anything. We're fine." My stomach dropped. Hearing it in the emails was one thing. Hearing him say it out loud, voice full of confidence in my stupidity, was another. Rustling sounds, a zipper, clothes hitting the floor. "God, I've missed you," Karen breathed. Then sounds I didn't want to hear but forced myself to document. Moans, the bed creaking. And then, in a moment that felt like a knife twisting. "You're so much better than her," Karen whispered. Crack. That's the only word for what happened in my chest. Not a break, a crack, sharp and complete. I stood frozen against that wall, tears streaming silently down my face, hand clamped over my mouth to stop any sound escaping. But I kept recording, breathed through the pain. This was evidence. This was ammunition. When they finished, they showered. I could hear the water running, their laughter. Then they ordered room service, and I waited for the perfect moment. During a lull in their conversation, I banged on the wall. 3 solid thumps. "What was that?" Karen's voice pitched high with sudden alarm. "Probably just the pipes. Old building." James, dismissive. But I heard the tension. Good. 20 minutes later, I called the front desk from my room phone. "Yes, hi, I'd like to send a complimentary bottle of champagne to Suite 410. Please include a card that says, 'From a secret admirer.'" "Of course, ma'am." "Right away." I pressed my glass to the wall and listened. 10 minutes later, a knock on their door. "Room service." I heard them open the door, confusion in their voices. "We didn't order this," James said. "Complimentary, sir. From a secret admirer. Enjoy your evening." Silence after the door closed. Then, "James, who would send this?" Karen's voice trembled. "I don't know. Maybe hotel promotion, anniversary thing? This is weird. This feels weird. You're being paranoid." But the seed was planted. I smiled against that wall, tears drying on my cheeks. They spent the rest of the night nervous, jumping at sounds. "Did you hear that?" Karen kept asking. What if someone knows we're here? Nobody knows, James insisted, but he didn't sound sure anymore. I'd turned their romantic getaway into a paranoid nightmare. And I was just getting started. Night 1, they barely slept. I could hear them tossing, whispering anxiously. Around 2 a.m., an argument started. What if she finds out? Karen hissed. She won't. James sounded less confident now. Michelle trusts me. She always has. But what if the hotel calls your credit card? Or, I told you, I'll divorce her after my promotion. You're my future, Karen. Michelle's just comfortable habit. Once I'm VP, we'll have resources to start fresh. She'll get the house and kids. She loves playing martyr anyway. There it was again, martyr. Like devotion was manipulation. You promise? Karen's voice, small and needy. Because I'm risking a lot here, James. I promise 6 more months tops, then we're free. I recorded every word. Evidence. Beautiful, damning evidence. Morning came. I heard them getting ready for sightseeing. James's fake itinerary probably included museums and lunch. They left around 10 a.m. The tracker confirmed they were gone, heading toward Navy Pier. I had 2 hours, maybe 3. I called housekeeping from my room. Hi, this is Sandra Williams in 412. I accidentally left my phone charger in suite 410 earlier, my friend's room. Could someone let me in quickly to grab it? Ma'am, we can't let guests into other rooms. I understand. What if I offered a tip? I really need that charger and my friend won't be back until late. Silence. Then, how much we talking? $100. 5 minutes, in and out. Room 410? Yes. 10 minutes later, a maid arrived at my door. Young woman, probably supporting family, eyes tired. I handed her 5 20s. I just need to grab something. I'll be quick. She hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. I'm watching the hall. Inside their suite, evidence was everywhere. Karen's makeup spread across the bathroom counter, James's cologne on the dresser, the bed unmade, sheets tangled, photos of them on her phone, left charging. I snapped pictures of the photos. But the real prize was in my bag, a mini camera Chloe had given me. My tech-savvy cousin worked in security systems. Plant it in the air vent, she'd instructed. Undetectable, streams to this app on your phone, 12-hour battery, but it'll capture enough. I stood on the desk, unscrewed the vent cover, positioned the tiny camera, and screwed it back. Perfect angle covering the bed and sitting area. 4 minutes. Back to my room. The maid nodded as I passed. We were never here. Never, I agreed. That afternoon, laptop open, I watched the live feed. Saw them return, laughing, carrying shopping bags. Watched them make drinks from the minibar. Watched James call his mother. Hey Ma, yeah, conference is boring as usual. Michelle's fine, kids are good. Yeah, she's home with them. Michelle's none the wiser about how demanding these trips are. Lies delivered to his own mother. I recorded that too. Evening came. I tested my next psychological tactic. Turned on my TV loud, playing Beyoncé's Sorry on repeat. You better call Becky with the good hair. Through the wall, Karen's whine. Someone's next door being so loud. Just ignore it. But they couldn't. The music seeped through. I watched their irritation build on the camera feed. They called the front desk twice. Each time I turned it down before anyone investigated, then turned it back up after. This is ridiculous, Karen snapped. Who plays breakup songs at a hotel? Probably some bitter divorcee, James muttered. If they only knew. Saturday afternoon, I decided to escalate. From the hotel lobby payphone, yes, they still exist, I called their room. Suite 410. I disguised my voice, made it official and cold. This is hotel management. We've received multiple noise complaints about your room. You need to keep volume to reasonable levels or we'll have to ask you to leave. Noise complaints. We've been quiet, James protested. Sir, we've had 3 separate complaints. This is your formal warning. I hung up before he could argue. Through the camera feed, I watched them panic. 3 complaints? We haven't been loud. Karen paced the room. James, something's wrong. This whole weekend feels off. You're being paranoid. Am I? The champagne, the music, now this. It feels like someone's messing with us. Who would even know we're here? Beautiful, dramatic irony. I knew exactly where they were, and they were finally catching on that something was very wrong. That evening, Angela arrived at my room. I'd texted her the address, and she came bearing wine in solidarity. "Girl, let me hear this," she said, pressing her ear to the wall. Right on cue, James and Karen were arguing again. 6 months, James. You said 6 months until you'd leave her, but you keep pushing it back. First it was after the promotion, then after the Henderson deal, now it's... I said, I'll do it, Karen. Michelle's boring, okay? She's all about the kids and lesson plans and being a good teacher. You make me feel alive. Just give me time to line everything up. Angela's eyes went wide. Oh, he's trash. Capital T trash. Told you. Michelle's boring now. James's voice continued. We used to have fun, but now it's all responsibilities and conversations about parent-teacher conferences. You're different. You get me. Recording? Angela asked. Every word. Small victory number 5. Documented for posterity. Before we left that night, I executed the next phase. Took hotel stationery, wrote in block letters. I know. Slipped it under their door and walked away. The camera caught their reaction when they found it. Karen screamed. James went pale. What the hell is this? Karen's voice shook. James, someone knows. Someone's been watching us. That's impossible. Then explain this. She waved the note. This isn't paranoia anymore. We need to leave. Now. They packed in 15 minutes, checked out early. The front desk staff must have thought they were insane. I stayed in my room watching on the camera until they left. Watch James load their bags. Watch Karen look over her shoulder constantly. Watch them flee what was supposed to be their romantic haven. Mission accomplished. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. That Monday, back home with James pretending his conference was productive, I opened a new burner email account. Sent a message to James's boss, Robert Chen, with the subject line, Expense Fraud Alert. The body was simple. Check James Thompson's hotel expenses. Suite 410. The Langham, charged as business expense, actually personal affair with Karen Morrison. See attached receipts. I attached the credit card statement, the hotel receipt, and screenshots of their text messages about the weekend. Send. Wednesday. James came home early, face gray. I got demoted, he said quietly. They're auditing expenses. Someone sent an anonymous tip. Oh no, honey, that's terrible. I hugged him, feeling his tension. What did you do? Nothing. It's a misunderstanding, but they're putting me on probation. Small victory number 6, professional consequences initiated. I'd also sent the camera footage to HR, edited to show just enough without being explicit. Violation of company fraternization policy, clear as day. Karen got called in too. Angela had a friend in HR who confirmed, official warning, marked in her file, passed over for upcoming promotion. The dominoes were falling exactly as planned. The best revenge, making them destroy each other. I continued monitoring their text exchanges. The tone shifted dramatically post-hotel disaster. Karen to James. This is your fault. You said she'd never find out. Someone knew we were there, probably someone from your work. James to Karen. How is this my fault? You're the one who kept saying, this is risky, like you wanted to get caught. Karen. I wanted to get caught. You're the married one, James. You said you'd divorce her by now. Instead, we're both under investigation, and I might lose my job. James. Maybe if you weren't so clingy. Karen. Clingy? I'm clingy? You're the one who can't make a decision. You want the wife and kids and the mistress. That's not how this works. The blame game was in full effect. I didn't even have to do anything, just watch them implode. Thursday night, I decided to confront James directly. Printed out more receipts I'd found. I'd been saving these. Left them on the kitchen counter where he'd see them coming home from work. When he walked in, I was cooking dinner. Calm. Collected. James, what are these? I held up the papers. His face drained of color. Where did you... In your car, under the seat. 3 different hotels, James. 3. Were any of your conferences real? Michelle, I can explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you're having an affair with Karen from work? His mouth opened, closed, opened again. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Before he could answer, his phone rang. Karen. He didn't answer, but it rang again and again. Answer it, I said. Put it on speaker. Michelle, answer it. He did, hands shaking. Karen, now's not a good time. Not a good time? Her voice screeched through the speaker. James, HR just told me they have photos. Someone was in that room. How could you be so stupid? I don't know. This is over. We're over. I'm not losing my career for someone who can't even leave his wife properly. Lose my number. She hung up. I looked at James, just looked at him. Let the silence stretch until he broke. It was a mistake, he whispered. Michelle, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. No, I said quietly. It was a choice. Many choices. Over many months. He tried to approach me. I stepped back. Don't. I'm calling Angela. She's a lawyer now, remember? Lawyer? Michelle, please. Divorce papers will be ready next week. I want you out of this house by Sunday. The kids will be fine. Better than fine. Better than having a father who lies and cheats and uses his family as cover while he builds a new life. He sank into a chair, head in hands. This isn't how it was supposed to go. No, I agreed. It wasn't. That weekend, I did something I'd been dreading. Called James's mother, Patricia. She'd always been kind to me, treating me like the daughter she'd never had. Michelle, honey, how are you? Miss Patricia, I need to tell you something about James. I told her. Not everything. Spared her the explicit details, but enough. The affair, the lies, the hotel receipts. She cried, then got angry. That boy, she said, voice hard. His father and I didn't raise him like this. Michelle, baby, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. Thank you. I just wanted you to know before the divorce papers arrive. You're divorcing him? Yes. Ma'am. Good. You hold your head high, you hear me? This isn't on you. This is on him. Losing his mother's support was another blow James hadn't anticipated. Karen, meanwhile, sent apologetic texts to my phone. She'd gotten my number somewhere. Michelle, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. I blocked her without responding. Her cowardice wasn't worth my time. Small victory number 7 was perhaps the sweetest. Angela's lawyer friend drafted custody arrangements that gave me primary custody, James every other weekend. Illinois courts favor mothers, especially when fathers are proven adulterers who neglect their kids for affairs. The noose was tightening, and the final act was approaching. 2 weeks passed. James moved in with a friend, coming by only to see the kids on scheduled days. Jamal asked questions. Why doesn't Daddy live here? Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy, I said gently, but we both still love you very much. Is it my fault? No, baby, never. This is between adults. You and Aaliyah are perfect just as you are. I focused on securing our future. The trust fund, my $50,000 plus growth, now nearly 60. I moved to an account with only my name. James had no access, no claim. My lawyer confirmed. Premarital assets, especially inheritance, stayed mine. The house was trickier, but Illinois is an equitable distribution state. Given James's adultery and misuse of joint funds for an affair, my lawyer was confident I'd keep it. You've documented everything, she said, impressed. Date-stamped photos, recordings, financial records, witness statements. Michelle, this is airtight. Good. I'd learned from the best. Ms. Strategy doesn't leave loose ends, but the final act needed staging. I wanted one perfect moment where everything came together, where James and Karen both faced the complete scope of their choices. I planned an anniversary redo dinner. Told James it was to talk civilly about the divorce for the kids. He agreed, probably hoping to negotiate a better deal. I booked Alinea, an upscale restaurant with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago skyline. Expensive, public, perfect. The secret weapon? A burner text to Karen from an unknown number. Meet James tonight, 8 p.m. Alinea. Urgent regarding HR investigation. Come alone. She'd come. I knew she would. The HR thing was real enough to scare her. The night before, I prepared my evidence folder, printed screenshots of their messages, photos from the hotel camera, financial statements showing the charges, organized them chronologically, documenting the entire 6-month affair. I chose my outfit carefully, a red dress I hadn't worn in years, the one James used to love, hair done professionally, makeup perfect. I wanted to look like the woman he'd thrown away while sitting across from the ruins of his choices. This wasn't about winning him back. This was about him seeing clearly, maybe for the first time, what he'd lost, what they'd both lost. Angela called that evening. "You ready for this?" "I've been ready," I said. "This is chess, Angela, and I'm 3 moves from checkmate." "Just don't do anything that'll land you in jail." I laughed. "I'm not going to touch them. I'm going to make them face themselves." That's worse than anything I could do to them. Saturday evening, I drove downtown, parked, checked my reflection. The woman looking back was different from 3 months ago, stronger, clearer, angrier in a way that had hardened into pure conviction. James had taken my trust and spent it on cheap hotel rooms and cheaper thrills. Karen had looked at my marriage and thought it was hers for the taking. Tonight, they'd both learned the cost of underestimating Michelle Thompson. Ms. Strategy had one final lesson to teach, and class was about to begin. Alinea sat on the 40th floor, all glass and steel and modern elegance. The Chicago skyline glittered beyond floor-to-ceiling windows, the lake dark and endless, the city lights sharp as broken promises. I arrived 15 minutes early, checking my tablet one last time. Evidence folder loaded. Recordings queued. Calm, practiced. The hostess led me to our table. Corner booth, semi-private but visible enough. Perfect theater. James arrived at 8:02, wearing the navy suit I'd bought him last Christmas. He smiled cautiously, the way you smile at a judge before sentencing. Still handsome, still the man I'd loved, still a stranger. "Michelle, you look... wow. Beautiful. Thank you." I didn't stand, didn't offer warmth. He slid into the booth across from me, nervous energy radiating. "So, I was thinking we could discuss custody without lawyers getting... I was in room 412, James." 4 seconds of silence. I counted them. His face changed, color draining like water from a tub, eyes widening with the slow-motion horror of understanding. "What?" "Suite 412, the Langham Hotel, right next door to Suite 410, where you and Karen spent your romantic weekend, the one you charged to our joint credit card." "Michelle, I don't know what you..." I pulled out my tablet, tapped play. His voice filled the space between us, tinny but clear through the small speaker. "Michelle's clueless. She's too busy with the kids to notice anything. We're fine." James went rigid, stared at the tablet like it was a snake. "Michelle's boring now. We used to have fun, but now it's all responsibilities and conversations about parent-teacher conferences. You're different. You get me." "Stop," he whispered. I didn't stop. Let Karen's voice purr through next. "You're so much better than her." Crack. That's what his face did, just shattered, mouth open, eyes wet, hands shaking on the white tablecloth. How did I get this? I'm Miss Strategy, remember? You thought I was clueless, busy with the kids, too boring to notice. But I noticed everything, James. Every lie, every hotel receipt, every text message you thought you'd deleted. "Michelle, please..." "Please what?" "Please don't play the recording of you telling your mother I was none the wiser. Please don't show the credit card statements of every hotel you took her to with our money. My daddy's insurance money that kept us afloat when you got laid off. Remember that? You spent it on her." Movement at the entrance. Karen, wearing a gray blazer in confusion, scanning the restaurant. Our hostess pointed toward our table. James saw her. His face went from white to gray. Oh, God, Michelle, you didn't. I did. Karen approached, heels clicking, corporate armor fully engaged. James, what's going on? I got a text about the HR investigation and she saw me, stopped dead. Hello, Karen. My voice was ice sculpture, cold, sharp, beautiful. Join us. We were just discussing your affair with my husband. This is... Karen looked between us, trapped. James, what is this? I tapped the tablet again, played the video footage from the hotel room camera, not the explicit parts. I wasn't cruel like that. Just them entering, laughing, him pulling her close. His voice, divorce her after the promotion. You're my future. Karen's hand flew to her mouth. You filmed us, James's voice cracked. That's illegal. You can't. Illinois is a one-party consent state for recordings, and the hotel room. I had every right to record from my own room next door, but please, tell me more about what's legal, James. Like charging personal affairs to business expense accounts or violating company fraternization policies. Karen turned on James, fury replacing shock. Her hand came up fast. Slap! Connecting with his cheek. The sound echoed. Nearby diners turned. You used me! Tears streamed down her face, mascara running. You said she was boring, that she didn't understand you. You said you'd divorce her months ago. I was going to... When? After the promotion you lost because someone, probably her, Karen jabbed a finger at me, sent evidence to HR? You ruined my career for your lies. Your career? James stood, voice rising. What about mine? I got demoted because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. All your paranoid, what if she finds out nonsense probably tipped her off. My paranoid? You're the one who said we were safe. That Michelle suspected nothing. They were screaming now, fully at each other's throats, years of Alinia's refined atmosphere dissolving around their cheap drama. Other diners watched openly, whispered behind menus. A waiter hovered uncertainly. I sat calm at the center of their chaos, took a sip of water, let them destroy each other. This is what betrayal looks like, I said quietly, cutting through their noise. They both stopped, turned to me. It's not romantic, it's not exciting, it's just ugly, selfish, small. You both thought you were special, that your connection was worth more than my marriage, my trust, my children's stability. But look at you now. Turning on each other the second there are consequences. Karen was crying openly. James looked like he might be sick. I loved you, I said to James. Gave you everything. And you threw it away for hotel rooms and text messages and someone who didn't even stand by you when things got hard. I stood, gathered my things, left cash on the table for my untouched water. Enjoy your evening and your future. Together or apart, I don't care anymore. I walked out of that restaurant with my head high, leaving them to their wreckage. Behind me, I heard Karen sob. I can't believe I threw everything away for you. And James, broken. Michelle, wait. But I didn't wait. I was already gone. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. My lawyer, Janet Chen, Angela's recommendation was a shark in pearls. Mrs. Thompson has documented every instance of adultery, financial impropriety, and emotional abandonment over a 6-month period, Janet told the judge at our first hearing. She presented my evidence folder like a prosecutor. Recordings, photos, credit card statements, witness testimonies, timeline documentation. James's lawyer tried to argue. Your Honor, my client admits mistakes were made, but... Mistakes? Judge Patricia Williams, a black woman in her 60s with zero tolerance for nonsense, peered over her reading glasses. Mr. Thompson used marital funds to conduct an affair, violated company expense policies, and lied repeatedly to his wife and family. These aren't mistakes. These are choices. The judge's ruling came down hard. Michelle keeps the house. Full ownership, no buyout owed. The trust fund from my father remains entirely mine, untouchable. Primary custody of Jamal and Aliyah, with James getting every other weekend and Wednesday dinners. No alimony for him despite his demotion because adultery forfeited any claim to spousal support. "Mr. Thompson," Judge Williams said at the final hearing, "you gambled your family on an affair and lost. The consequences are yours to bear. Mrs. Thompson's documentation is some of the most thorough I've seen. She protected herself and her children while you were busy betraying them. This court finds in her favor on all counts." James sat hollow-eyed at the defendant's table. He'd aged 10 years in 2 months. The professional fallout was worse. Apex Finance didn't just demote James, they fired him. The expense fraud investigation revealed he'd been charging personal expenses as business costs for over a year, not just the hotel rooms, nearly $12,000 in fraudulent charges. They threatened criminal prosecution but settled for termination and repayment plan. Karen got transferred to the regional office in Milwaukee, a lateral move that everyone knew was punishment. Her reputation in Chicago's finance circles was destroyed. The gossip mills ran hot. The woman who tried to steal a colleague's husband got caught, tanked both their careers. Their families learned everything. James's mother, Patricia, called me weekly, apologizing, crying. "That's not how I raised him, Michelle. I'm so ashamed." "It's not your fault, Miss Patricia. You and my grandbabies will always be my family. James made his choice. Now he lives with it." Karen's parents, from what Angela heard through the grapevine, were mortified. Traditional Catholic family. Daughter having an affair with a married man. It violated everything they'd taught her. 3 months post-revelation, I saw James at Jamal's basketball game. He looked smaller, somehow, diminished. Living in a studio apartment in a rough neighborhood, driving a 10-year-old Honda because his BMW got repossessed. The kids still loved him. I'd never poison that, but they'd lost respect. Kids know. They always know. "Daddy didn't show up for my recital," Aaliyah said once, matter of fact. "He's dealing with some grown-up problems, baby. It's not about you." But we both knew what it meant. James had always been unreliable. Now he just couldn't hide it anymore. Karen fared no better. Angela's friend in HR reported that Karen had testified against James during the company investigation, threw him under the bus completely to save her own skin. "He pressured me into the relationship, said his marriage was already over, told me to charge things to his card." The ultimate rat move. Their affair ended not in dramatic romance, but in mutual hatred and competing victim narratives. "They deserve each other," Angela said over wine one Friday night. "They deserved each other," I corrected. "Now they just deserve the consequences." Social exile was perhaps the cruelest cut. The couples who'd been their friends, James and Karen's affair accomplices who'd covered for them, made excuses, dropped them both when the truth came out. Nobody wants to be associated with that level of messiness. James spent his Saturday nights alone now, scrolling through photos of the family he'd destroyed. Karen dated desperately, according to social media, but never lasted more than a few weeks with anyone. Trust issues all around. They'd gambled everything on their affair being worth it. Turns out it wasn't worth anything at all. 6 months after the divorce finalized, Principal Martinez called me into his office. My stomach clenched. Old habits from expecting bad news. "Michelle, I'll get straight to it. Margaret's retiring. I'd like you to be our new English department head." I stared. "Really?" "You're the best teacher we have. Your students' test scores are consistently highest in the district. But more than that, they respect you. They trust you. And after what you've been through," he smiled gently, "you showed incredible strength. That's the kind of leadership this school needs." Department head meant a raise, meant influence, meant my voice mattered in curriculum decisions. It meant I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. The kids adjusted beautifully. Therapy helped. A wonderful Black woman therapist, Dr. Kim, who specialized in children of divorce. Jamal opened up about his anger, learned to express it healthily. Aaliyah's anxiety eased when she understood Mommy and Daddy's problems weren't her fault. "You're the strongest person I know, Mom," Jamal said one night, unprompted. My heart swelled. You know what real strength is, baby? It's not never falling down. It's getting back up. Our bond deepened. We became a unit, Team Thompson, as Aaliyah named us. Game nights, Sunday brunches, honest conversations. I didn't badmouth James, but I didn't lie either. Age-appropriate truth. Daddy made choices that hurt our family, but he still loves you and I still love you and we're going to be okay. Dating seemed impossible at first. How do you trust again after that level of betrayal? But Angela dragged me to a community fundraiser 8 months post-divorce, and I met Marcus. Marcus was an architect, divorced himself, father to a teenage daughter. Kind eyes, genuine smile, no games. We talked for 3 hours about buildings and books and healing from broken marriages. He asked for my number. I gave it. "Take it slow," he said on our first date. No pressure, just 2 people getting to know each other. Slow was perfect. Slow was what I needed. My story spread through communities, whispered in teacher lounges, discussed in book clubs, shared online. Other women reached out. Your story gave me courage to leave. You showed me I'm not crazy for documenting everything. Ms. Strategy saved my life. I hadn't meant to become a symbol, but somehow I had. Proof that Black women don't have to just endure. We can fight back smart, protect ourselves, win. My students noticed the change in me too. I taught with renewed fire, using literature to show them patterns of power and justice. When we read Their Eyes Were Watching God, I talked about Janie's journey to self-determination. When we covered Shakespeare's betrayal plots, I emphasized how characters rebuilt after devastation. "Ms. Thompson," one student said after class, "you're kind of legendary now, Ms. Strategy for real." I laughed. "Just Ms. Thompson is fine." "Nah, you're Ms. Strategy. You taught us that being smart is better than being angry." That's when I realized this was the real victory. Not the house, not the custody, not even James's downfall. It was reclaiming myself. My identity wasn't James's wife or betrayed woman. It was Michelle Thompson, educator, mother, survivor, strategist. Justice isn't revenge. Revenge is about making them hurt. Justice is about making things right, about restoring balance. I didn't destroy James, he destroyed himself. I just held up the mirror. Family isn't about blood or marriage certificates. It's about loyalty, truth, and showing up. Ms. Patricia still came for Sunday dinners. Angela remained my sister in everything but name. My students became my extended family. Dignity cannot be taken, only surrendered. James tried to take mine, but I never surrendered it. I stood in that laundry room, broken by betrayal, and chose to rise instead of collapse. And Black women's strength, it's not just endurance. It's not just surviving. It's strategy, intelligence, community, and refusing to let anyone write our endings for us. I wrote my own ending, and it was better than anything James and Karen could have imagined. So here I am, a year later. Sitting in my kitchen, my house, my safe space, with Jamal and Aaliyah doing homework at the table. Marcus is coming for dinner tomorrow. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely, I see you. If you've ever questioned your worth after someone chose lies over your love, I understand. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself from ruins, I know that strength. But here's what I learned. Love requires honesty. Without it, it's just a pretty lie wrapped in wedding vows and family photos. And when someone shows you who they really are, when they choose betrayal over respect, believe them the first time. Justice always finds a way. Not always the way we expect, not always fast, but it arrives. Sometimes it's a judge's ruling. Sometimes it's natural consequences. Sometimes it's 2 cheaters turning on each other in an expensive restaurant while their victim walks away free. Family isn't about blood, it's about loyalty. The people who stood by me, Angela, Mr. Edwards, Ms. Patricia, my students, my children, they're my real family. James, he gambled that away for hotel rooms and text messages. Dignity isn't given, it's claimed. Nobody can take it unless you hand it over. I held on to mine through every humiliation, every recording, every confrontation. And when I walked out of Alinea that night, I carried it with me while they drowned in theirs. If you agree that karma always finds a way, hit that like button. If you believe in fighting smart instead of fighting dirty, subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment telling me which city you're from. Let's build a community where nobody suffers betrayal in silence. And remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well. I'm Michelle Thompson. I was Ms. Strategy in the classroom. Turns out, I'm Ms. Strategy everywhere. To everyone watching this story, and I mean really watching, really listening, I want you to know something important. You're not alone. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? Someone who looked you in the eyes, said, "I love you," and then turned around and chose someone else? Someone who made you question your worth, your beauty, your value as a human being? If you're nodding right now, if tears are streaming down your face, if you're thinking, "That's exactly what happened to me," I see you. Your pain is valid. Your anger is justified. And your decision to survive it? That's powerful. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Betrayal says everything about the betrayer and nothing about you. Nothing. James didn't cheat because I wasn't enough. He cheated because he wasn't enough. He wasn't man enough to communicate. He wasn't strong enough to be honest. He wasn't brave enough to face his issues without running to someone new. And Karen? She didn't steal my husband. You can't steal what doesn't want to be taken. She was just the symptom of a disease that was already there. His selfishness, his entitlement, his belief that he deserved whatever felt good in the moment. Consequences be damned. Love requires honesty. Period. Without it, it's just a pretty lie wrapped in date nights and anniversary cards. Real love shows up. Real love tells the truth even when it's hard. Real love doesn't make you feel crazy for trusting your gut. If you agree that karma always finds a way, hit that like button right now. Not for me, for you, for every time someone made you feel like you were overreacting, for every time they called you paranoid when you were actually right, for every tear you cried alone wondering what you did wrong. Share your story in the comments. Tell me which city you're from. Were you the one betrayed? Did you rebuild yourself like I did? Or maybe you're still in the middle of it, trying to figure out your next move. Whatever your story is, this is a safe space. We're building something here. A community where no one suffers in silence, where we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. Subscribe if you believe in justice over revenge, because that's what this story is really about. Not getting even, getting free. Not making them hurt, making yourself whole again. Here's what I know for sure. Family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty. The people who stay when things get hard, who believe you when you say something's wrong, who help you gather evidence instead of telling you to just get over it. Those are your people. Dignity isn't given. It's claimed. Nobody handed me my power back. I took it. Piece by piece, recording by recording, decision by decision. I looked at the ruins of my marriage and said, okay, now what? And then I built something better. And sometimes, listen to me closely, sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. It's watching your kids thrive. It's getting that promotion. It's finding someone who actually knows your worth. It's standing in your own life, in your own power, and realizing you don't need anyone's validation because you've got your own. I held up a mirror, and James and Karen finally saw themselves clearly. All their justifications, all their excuses, all their "it just happened" nonsense, it crumbled in the face of evidence, of truth, of consequences. You hold up that mirror too. Whatever your situation is, whatever you're facing, document it, trust yourself, and remember, you're not crazy. You're awake. And that awareness, that's the first step to freedom. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go write yours and make it a good one. You deserve nothing less.